Hey guys, welcome back to Making It. Today we're going to be doing kombucha, everyone's favorite little fermented bubbly beverage from the 70s, repopularized in the 2000s. I'm going to show you a nice simple way to get it going. It's a fermented beverage. It takes time. It's a product of its environment. If it's hot, it goes fast. If it's cold, it goes slow. It can blow up. It's a sweet tea basically that is fermented with a symbiotic community of bacteria and yeast, or a SCOBY. And that's this little ugly looking mutant thing we got in the jar here. Probiotic little powerhouse. It's in all supermarkets these days, nothing new. Really fun, easy kind of fermented beverage to fool around with. Before we get going, we'll do a little ingredient shrine. This is a real pretty simple one today. I've been burning incense. This is a lovely one I got in a place in Brooklyn, New York. And I got these and they're beautiful. Here, get a little wisp of that, bud. Isn't that nice? Clean. But we'll start off with the big star of the show here. We got the SCOBY, all right? And a little bit of starter fluid from a previous batch. But you can buy them online or get them from a friend, or there's probably some stores that sell them. Brought to you by SCOBY. But this is the cap, okay? All the good bacteria and all that stuff is still in the liquid. It covers the surface to keep all bad stuff out, and it's a little protective cap on the liquid. Yeah, it's a little weird and it's not very appetizing to look at. And that's our SCOBY, and we feed it with black tea. I would recommend getting the organic, okay? Think about it. We got our little bacteria and our yeast and our SCOBY. You go get in some nasty tea, who knows, they're spraying fungal acids on it or something, I don't know. And then you're bombing that with some chemical warfare into your SCOBY, man, and you don't want to do that. And then sugar, all right, crucial. It's probably one of the only times you'll see me using just refined white cane sugar. The SCOBY, the bacteria and yeast, that's all it needs is that simple sugar. You don't want to go using honey thinking that it's going to be better or better for you or anything like that. Just feed it. This is nothing but fodder, and it's perfect for these little maniacs in here. They just eat that stuff right up and give us the good benefits, which is, you know, I guess they're like their poop or something. Because they eat the sugar, let out lactic acid. They just poop lactic acid into your water here, and then you drink it. We got some water. We got 4 quarts, 1 gallon. That's kind of it for the ingredients. We got our SCOBY, loose leaf tea, and some suka. Let's make some kombucha. Yeah? So you got your SCOBY, came in the mail. Comes in a little quart or a bag, and it's got some liquid in there. Don't discard that liquid. You're gonna need that starter liquid. And when you first get it, it could be this big, like a little wee hamburger patty from McDonald's or something, you know? It's gnarly looking, you know? It's mucusy and biscuity, and if I found this like in someone's barn and I was like dying of thirst and I saw this thing, who was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna try that. Are you kidding me? That looks like the worst thing you could possibly drink, but it's not. So what we're gonna do is feed this, and I'll give you the key ratio. I'm sorry, I fucked that up, Jesus Christ, Brent. We got 1 gallon. Here's the recipe. The golden ratio that I like to be using: 1 gallon of water. We got 1 cup of sugar, or about 225 grams. I like to run a little hot, so we'll do 220. Okay, we're gonna do 220 grams. And then you got 3 tablespoons of loose tea, which is about 15 grams of tea. All right, so let's feed this baby. So that's our ratio. We got 1 cup of sugar, about 220 grams, 15 grams of loose black tea. I like to just do a concentrate. Get a little saucepan, add what, quart of water, enough to dissolve the sugar. We'll do a little more than that. Right over the heat. Now that's what 220 grams of sugar looks like. So imagine you get a soda and it's got 50 grams of sugar. That's like a handful of sugar. This is all gonna get consumed by our little maniacs in here. Thank goodness. Let me stir that up. We're running ripping here. And when you're making your little concentrate over here and you're on a high heat, don't go walking away, letting this thing boil over. You got simple syrup basically going all over the fire. If you wanted to put a thermometer in it, knock yourself out. Most importantly, you want to make sure the sugar's all dissolved. And once it does get to a hot temperature, right below boil, say 200 degrees, you just want to turn it on low. You can even turn it off. All right, so we hit our temperature, came to a nice little simmering, almost to a boil, and now you let it steep. 5-10 minutes. You can even let it steep for longer. Put it in the fridge, let it chill before you add it to the rest of the water. I love the smell of black tea. It's so delightful. What's that? So we got our tea, steeped, concentrated, sweet, like old Bobby over here. Right back into our cold water, and that should balance it out into like a lukewarm. But what you don't want to do is put your hot tea into your SCOBY. Game over, you're frying it. The thing's gonna die. You're boiling everything to death, and it's just not cool, man. Let's taste it. Pretty good. Perfect. That's our nice little base. That's what we're gonna do to feed our SCOBY, and then we're gonna taste it throughout. Let me give this a little rinsey rinse real quick. So if you were to taste this now, sour, not quite vinegar, but nice and sour. You wouldn't really want to drink. You could take a little shot of it. It's actually delicious. But we're gonna add the rest of this. Happy things going on in there. A lot of sugar to eat, brand new tannins. All right, our SCOBY, our symbiotic community of bacteria and yeast is just going to be in a happy, happy place, all right? Give it a little poke. Sometimes it'll sink your SCOBY. If you see it get a little weird, that's okay. It's just readjusting, maybe to the temperature difference that you just added. It's best if you can match the temperature so it doesn't shock it, kind of like people would do for like fish and fish tanks or something, right? The big indicators you're looking for, you don't want any mold, okay? And you don't want that thing to sink to the bottom for a long time and like turn black. It should be a nice little vibrant little white like that. That's a healthy color. A nice little weird cream SCOBY looking thing there. We'll let that go. Cover it. You'll get your little critters, your normal fermentation terrors, your flies and stuff like that. They love just going in there and making a mess. So I put a little cheesecloth on there. You want it to breathe out of the sun. We're gonna go put it over there at the fermentation station, baby. A new little safe haven for our microbiology. When it's hot, like any fermentation, it's gonna go a lot faster, okay? You like that sweet spot, that like mid 70s, okay? And it's gonna take a little bit. It's gonna take, depending on the size, like this gallon, and depending on the temperature, it could take a couple weeks. Taste it as you go. There is no exact time. It's a taste thing. And don't overthink it. A little bit of sweet, a little bit of sour, and then you bottle it. So we'll get into that next.
Wake up, Mr. Leone. Wake up and smell the kombucha.
All right, so it's been about a week and a half since we set up, man, almost 2 weeks now for our first fermentation. I'm gonna go grab our crock. And we see we have a nice SCOBY formation. Nice little healthy, gross little layered biscuit. It's thriving, it's doing well. So yeah, this phase would be the first fermentation. We're checking for the doneness to see if it's the right amount of tart and sweet. You know, some people say you can go off of the pH, but some people say not. I've always just done it by taste. You know, if it's vinegar, it's not gonna be as good of a second fermentation. Give it a little mix, because it could be a little hot on top and a little sweeter on the bottom. So like they're just not too crazy, but a nice little mix. That's delicious. Nice, you get that nice tea flavor. A little hint of sweetness, a nice little like kind of soury, starting to become this nice little bright vinegary, shrubby type of cocktaily drink. I mean, it's very nice just like that. Still a little sweet, still has, I mean, you get those tannins from the black tea and the big flavor from the tea. But for me, I think it still could go about another week, 5 days. I'll check it in 5 days. You come back, buddy. I think it'll be ready to bottle by then. It's very close. A little more time though. Thank you to our friends in that SCOBY, that symbiotic community. And all right, we'll see you in a few days. 5 days. It's done. This is fun. This is exciting. Let's see where we're at. SCOB's still looking SCOB. You know, that's a good sign. If it's happy, I'm happy. Firm, not dried out. You don't want any black spots. It shouldn't look dying or dead. It's gross, but it's beautiful. But that looks great. I'm gonna give it a little taste test. Remember, I like to give it a little mixer just to get the true test. All right, so we got a little more sour, lost some of that sweetness. It's still a nice flavor from the tea there. I think it's ready to bottle. Process is pretty easy. You could do the old suck job, you know, if you had just a tube or something, and you can, you know, just get the liquid out and right into there. I'm gonna just pour it. We're gonna decant a little. We're gonna pour some off. It's a little messy. I ordered a siphon. It didn't come in time. All right, great job, fucking Jeff. You promised. Jeff, too busy gallivanting over in Europe with all the big shots. Meanwhile, I can't even get a goddamn siphon. I'm just kidding. That was a little extreme, Brad. You probably should have went to like Ace Hardware or something. I think we're at a really nice, healthy spot. And again, if it was warmer in here, it would probably happen quicker. You could probably get there in half the time. But I think a nice slow fermentation usually usually yields a better result. You want to leave some, that's plenty. This is 3 quarts of tea. That's more than enough than I think we're going to need for that. You do want to leave some. You never want to empty it out. So you have a nice little bit for that thing to recover and still be happy in for at least, you know, another week if you wanted to before you fed it. I'll feed you later, I promise. And now we're left with our finished fermentation 1 finished kombucha tea. Again, really delicious as is. That's to over some ice, be a nice little cocktail substitute or even additive for that matter. We're gonna bottle it up. Before we do that, let me talk to you a little bit about what we got going on here. So this is just some pomegranate juice. And what I did is I went out and picked, I'd say about 3 or 4 3-inch pieces of Thai basil and some mint, and I put that in there and I just let it steep. I brought it up to a little bit of just warmed it up and just let that kind of make a little herby tea in the pomegranate juice. Oh, I also threw a little sprig of thyme in there. Why not? And again, that's gonna be our little, just a little fruity flavoring agent, and also that primer sugar to carry us through into a nice aggressive second fermentation. And we're gonna put a little bit of that juice into each bottle. And I'm talking half an ounce, you know, just a little splashy dashy there. And that's gonna add us a little more sugar to go back into this fermentation that we got going now. And as it consumed that sugar and made it more tart, we're gonna give it a little bit more food to continue a little bit more fermentation, but this time sealed, and is gonna produce the carbonation, which is gonna give us a fizzy, fun, delicious carbonated beverage. Hopefully, if all goes well. Too much, you add more, it'll be sweeter, but if your balance is off and this isn't sour enough, then you can get a very aggressive second fermentation where it can be over fizzy and over fermented. So it's kind of a balance act of finding the perfect sweetness here to match the right amount of juice here to carry it through. It's an art, you know? Usually I would have the siphon or a funnel. I do not have either at the moment. So I'm just gonna do the old pour job and do the best I can, all right? And we're gonna let that settle, those bubbles. You don't wanna go too high. You wanna leave at least 1.5 to 2-inch head space. And that's gonna help with the compression of the carbonation, but also with it to not blow up. So we filled it up, we got our juice in there. It's ready to start fermentation 2. And I just got a little wet paper towel. Just a little wipe job here in case we've got any sticky business, you know. I just like a nice little clean contact. As it's nice and wiped clean, you go ahead and just give it a nice pop. You want a nice little flat, even seal there. All right, and again, you want to always get fermentation grade pop tops like this, bottles. All right, some of them are decorative, no bueno. Make sure you're getting it from like a beer supply store, you know, or it has to state that it's for food grade fermentation. All right, and then I'll bring them over to the sink, give them a little rinse. Nice little fizzy kind of carbonated beverage that we all love. We're gonna go ahead and set them over there for maybe 2 weeks, and we'll make a nice little sunblock for them right there. Happy little spot next to mom. We'll see you in a little bit. We'll see you in a little bit, and then hopefully we'll be a little kombucha 2.0, 7.6. All right, so we finished up our secondary fermentation, about 2 weeks at room temperature here. Inside the bottle, doing that bottle conditioning, carbonation forming from fermentation happening there with the gas being trapped in. And you notice they got some pretty gross things in there, all right? That's very normal. This one's hanging down, it's disgusting looking. That's absolutely disgusting looking. There's no way to put it other than that. But it's normal to the best of my information and knowledge. So what that is it's the formation of a new SCOBY, right? And it's agitated, it's moving around, and when it gets real cold, I mean, I don't know if it kills it, but it can kill some of the yeast as the fermentation runs out as well. So it's almost like the dead soldiers down here. A little bit of sediment down there, that's fine, all right? And this thing, I don't eat it, you can. Where I pour it, if I get it, I get it out. But again, to the best of my, it shouldn't look black, it shouldn't smell bad, it shouldn't be anything gnarly, but it's just the dead yeast and the beginning of SCOBY formation and stuff like that. All right, enough yapping. Let's open one up. Oh, I don't know if I mentioned it before. You always want to chill the bottles before you open them at a fermentation 2, because just like a white sparkling wine, it can foam over. And if it's really pressurized, I don't think these are going to be super carbonated, but if it's really carbonated, you open that thing up warm, boom, you're hitting the ceiling, baby. You're losing, I guarantee you're losing at least half of your contents. I don't think this is going to be super fermented. It's going to be a little more sour, but I am expecting a little bit of a light effervescence. Oh, Papa, like that. Yeah, good, Bob. Boobaz. Do a little Porsche, eh, Bob? Look at that, like a fine champagne. Small little bubble formations. 2025, July. Great vintage on this. World-class kombucha. Are you kidding me? A little bit of that residual sugar left. Not too sour or too tart where you're, you know, drinking like one of those horrible super sour beers or something. Nice little carbonation on there. Little funk. Tastes healthy. Sour, sweet. You can't be beat, Bobby. And then look, you have a little sip, you pour it around, you bring it to a picnic. The kids love it. They call it soda, kombucha soda they call it. It's just a great thing to do for everyone. Kombucha, easy to do, easy enough to do. Little gross, not gonna lie. But these are gold, we nailed it. That's phenomenal. Pomegranate notes, okay? Sour, sweet, delicious, balanced. Little velvety tingle on the tongue of effervescence, okay? Wow-wee! That's the best kombucha I've ever had. If you want to geek out with it, there's definitely some instruments that you can get you can read the bricks with. What are they called? Fractometers. Read your bricks if you're new at this. Taste it, build up your confidence, and then make magic. Dare I say it was, in my opinion, a perfect little kombucha. All the right flavors, and enjoy by yourself or with loved ones. Make it with some kids, preferably yours. I guess that sounds a little weird. Cheers! Ooh, that's a little tasty one there, bud. It's perfect.